then.
Really interesting. I look at Simon's list and I'm like, I'm not even sure if he wants to go first, but I guess when you have access to all those Infernoble cards in your strategy as well, you might as well.
Might be taking an interesting route there. There's a lot of interesting cards you get to put in the deck when you get past that 40-card barrier. So we'll see what all the different flavors will do.
Oh, that is a great way to start draw phase wanted. You get to add the Diabellstar to your hand, play around Drone Lockbird at the same time.
I might go back in, so we'll shuffle when we need, okay?
Yeah, of course.
Players communicating great there. Looks like we might be going back in the deck.
Almost certainly. If we add Diabellstar to the hand, I imagine you're going to attempt to activate the effect. The only reason Simon would not be going back in the deck is if Tyler stops him.
Activate Ohime?
Oh, looks like we're going to be leading with Ohime as well.
Can't quite see if there were any cards that could be activated from the hand from Tyler's side, but he doesn't seem to be stopping anything, so I think likely not.
It would look like I saw like a Rhino Heart and 3 spells.
So something to start with, but not necessarily anything to interact with Simon's plays.
So this is something we don't see very often. Ohime is going to add Mikanko Kagura.
And so for those unfamiliar, that's the ritual spell that allows you to get any Mikanko ritual monster summoned, which there are 2. Of course, you got to attribute the levels equal to or exceeding that monster, but you get to destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of equipped spells with different names in the graveyard. And if you do, you inflict 1,000 damage for each card destroyed.
I wonder, like, why you really even need to do that at this point in the, like, it's not something you want to lead with, right? And I don't think you even need to work that hard to summon Ohime, especially simply because, I mean, you can just get it out for free with Ceremony if you wanted to.
He may be trying to set up for future turns. We've noticed that through a lot of the duels. This has been not just about setting up an amazing turn 1 board, but also having those resources for next turn.
Wow, this is a lot of powerful surges here. We have a Kashtira Fenrir following up after that preparation of rites. Simon just loading up his hand. There's going to be the Kashtira Rise Heart.
Now, if we do end up using the Arise Heart to banish 3 cards off the top of Tyler's deck, that could be detrimental, right? Those could be tier limit names that may not be coming back anytime soon.
I wonder if there's any even need to do that, though, because it's not like he's going to try to make a rank 7. I imagine he's just using it functionally as a warrior to go into the Infernobles part of things, because, I mean, again, Fire Warrior, you might as well.
And Simon thinking out his plays. Which direction is he going to go?
I wonder if he's trying to dig a little deeper, because I believe Preparation of Rites added Illusion of Chaos, which will get him access to Magician's Souls. And of course, Magician's Souls having multiple targets here, being the Diabellstar as well as the Illusion of Chaos. So, like, putting additional copies of Diabellstar in the graveyard, at least, if you happen to open with maybe Original Sinful Spoiled Snake Eye and you didn't get access to Wanted early enough, that could be another neat trick. Oh, it looks like, okay, Diabellstar is going to give up the Fenrir on the field rather than the Rise Heart in the hand in this instance.
Well, he might actually need that Fire Warrior, just like you said, but hasn't quite set up the plays with the equip spells he needs.
I'm surprised, like, of all the free resources you got, the Fenrir is the one you want to throw away?
It is interesting. You would think you'd want to keep the Fenrir to be able to banish cards off your opponent's field face down, but maybe he just didn't want to have a counter Fenrir. He still doesn't know what Tyler's playing yet.
I also just assume that maybe the field that Simon's going to make, the Fenrir might even be redundant or just simply not impactful compared to what happens if his field goes uncontested, which at this point, what could really happen here?
Okay. Yeah.
Because let's see how many interactions would have effectively baited out at this point. Potentially the Effect Veiler's Infinite Permanence, Drone Lockbird for sure would have been activated by now. Ash Blossom, again, I think when you activate Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye, that's going to be met with Ash Blossom the majority of the time because, effectively it's a 2-for-1, right?
Absolutely. Fire cards sort of bonding together there with the Sinful Spoils usually being met by Ash.
All right, it looks like we're going to normal summon the Rise Heart, so you're not locked into XC summons this turn. You banish the Fenrir from the deck to banish the top 3 cards and make him a level 7.
So it is possible that he is really losing tier limits names. Tyler taking a quick check of those cards.
Anything on resolution?
No.
All right, do we see 2 warriors being linked away? Could only mean, yep, I sold.
No. Only if I special summon it by
yes, he normal summoned it just to play around that, of course, that lock. You can't forget about the lock. You do not want to special summon Rise Heart if you want to be using your extra deck to the maximum potential.
That is a completely different strategy to play if you want to just do Xyz and Xyz services. But this deck does a little bit more than that. We're seeing 2 Tails of the Noble Knights go ahead and add a warrior from the deck to hand.
Of course. Keeping a surprise in the game as you are. Yeah. I like how this is developing. At least, I like his deck, how it's developing. I don't
Interesting.
like the situation for me.
Tyler showing some great sportsmanship there, enjoying what it is that he's seeing on the other side of the field.
Yeah, he's very intrigued by what's happened so far because there's so many different cards activated. And I don't know if like seeing all of those would have led to believing that just Isolde would be on the field right now and Fenrir being gone. So I'd be very confused as to like what the end field is going to be if I didn't already know.
I think that's why the Mikanko strategy has been really successful at this event, the last event, Santa Cruz, and of course Indianapolis, because players, it's hard to wrap your head around what this deck is actually doing, right? It's trying to bring out technically powerful monsters on your opponent's side of the field so you can attack into them in that sort of Amazona swordswoman reflecting the damage back style.
Absolutely, and that is purely on the Mikanko side of things, which was the version of it that, I mean, I don't know if you call it popularized, but at least made the community more aware of up to this point. But the Infernoble version of this is, I want to say, brand new to this event.
A lot of great duelists going ahead and piloting this deck and showing that it works, but hey, now it looks like that's again the Diamond Tiger.
Activate Illusion of Chaos.
Yeah.
And while this isn't a Dark Magician deck, it still can go ahead and reveal that Illusion of Chaos to grab its respective card. Probably going to add Magician Souls. That's always been popular since the cards were released. And yep, that is what we're grabbing.
I'm going to put a card on top. Okay.
Yep, he's going to put back any other card on the top of the deck.
Activate this.
Yeah.
Magician Soul is going to like immediately send the Illusion of Chaos that was put back by its own effect. Not even going to try to bluff that he sent another card. He's going to mill it right off the top. And then activates again.
So lots of bodies appearing on the
I
field.
discard a card, or
No.
I draw two and discard one?
I draw two, discard one.
Oh. This deck's really revving up.
Tyler seeing Gen and Ken for apparently the first time here.
And I think Asala, you were right. 5Ds is his favorite series. He did just say it. Let's rev it up.
If he hits a thrust, he gets really
Resolution?
cool stuff. Yeah.
Triple Toxic Talent. Look at your hand.
He needed to discard a card, right? Yeah, like,
Yeah, he hasn't fully resolved that effect yet. Getting excited to see the Triple Tactics talent, but we're not there yet.
yep, I'm going to go ahead and discard Huli here,
Sorry, my bad.
which is great because he already has the Reborn. You're so good at saying the Reborn spell's name.
Oh, you mean Maior Ashidori?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Put that back.
For those of you who don't know what Maior Ashidori does, it is the equip spell that, of course, makes your monsters unable to be destroyed by card effects, or at least the monster is equipped. But probably the most relevant effect is in the graveyard. You can target a Mikanko monster in the graveyard and then special summon. If you do, equip it with this card, but banish it when it leaves the field.
Really interesting to see a Reborn spell that reborns from the grave, including itself. Like, it is also being reborn.
Yeah,
The one.
2-for-1 deal on that. Now we do see the hand here. We went ahead and lost one card, but it looks like two of the Perlino planets, as well as Destiny Hero Malicious.
It looks like card destruction was sent away, right?
Yes, card destruction was. So obviously, I think that means that Simon is setting up for his next turn, and so the card destruction is just terrifying for him. All those resources he's been building up, he would lose if he let him keep that. So actually, the Triple Tactics talent really helped out.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, at this point, I just imagine, like, you see the double Pearl Rhino, you see Rhino Heart, you see the Malicious. If there's any line that leads to Acid Golem, Tyler's hand is completely locked away.
Absolutely correct. Acid Golem is a great card, but not necessarily when you control it, right? It doesn't let you special summon monsters, and it forces you to receive or remove Exceeds materials or take 2,000 damage, which is super helpful since damage is really what this deck is all about.
Celine's going to be able to summon back that Diabell Star.
It is a spellcaster.
There's plenty of options at this point because with the Magician Souls as well.
How to think about this here?
But I think the level 7 is a bit more interesting of a level.
I'm gonna frost.
Oh, there's the thrust as well. Probably going to get access to Change of Heart, I'd imagine.
Would let him get that monster. I think we may be going the direction you think this is going. This is crazy. Taking a look at the list here. Do we have the Acid Golem?
Oh, it's in there.
Okay, that's going to be fun.
Makes sense. I know Simon has been working with Ed, who played a very similar list, or not so much similar, but like an earlier version of this list at Indianapolis.
What's great about this game is it keeps developing, and there's only been 2 weeks to really plan from Indianapolis to this event to gather that information and make those adjustments. But it looks like Simon's deck is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, looks like we're not going to go for Change of Heart. We went for Reinforcement of the Army, which then was used to grab Renault.
So really, really needed a warrior. Thrust definitely paying off with that Ken the Dragon Warrior. Of course, since your opponent controls a monster, you get to add the spell or trap to your hand instead of setting it.
Target.
And there it is, the green spell.
All right, so we are going to go ahead and bring back Huli, the Jeweled Mikanko. And of course, the Mikanko Dense Maior Ashidori goes ahead and really sweeps itself back on the field. It is an incredible card, like a monster reborn that puts itself back on the field.
A monster born perfectly in theme from the graveyard, reborning itself as well as the monster it's equipping to itself to. That monster will be banished if it leaves the field, but likely will not be directly leaving the field, but it'll just be used as an Xyz material.
Might be opening up the overlay network soon. We do have 2 level 3 monsters.
Yeah, you know, I don't know why I even thought he was going to go for Change of Heart. He needs that Ken to be on the opposing side of the field so he can swap him out.
Such a really neat combo featuring some, not necessarily obscure cards, but just very like disparate, you know, one from this set, one from that. The Geonator Transverser, which is likely what's going to come up, allows you to swap the positions of the monsters that it link arrow points to. So if we make the number 30 Acid Golem of Destruction here, you can put that on that left side where Geonator Transverser would be, and then swap it out with that Ken the Dragon Warrior on the other side of the field, giving Tyler basically his worst nightmare.
There is going to be the Mikanko Ritual spell here.
So Mikanko Kagura is probably going to Ritual Summon the Ohime. We're sending 7 stars to the graveyards. That feels good for a Ritual 6. And there is Ohime.
Ohime effect will target...
Using
Arabesque.
Ohime effect here to put Arabesque on the field.
What I want to equip it to right now.
It's going to equip Arabesque directly to it.
Equip it to appropriate targets.
So Arabesque can use its effect to special summon from deck and add the Ohime back to his hand.
I'm going to equip it again.
He's going to equip it again.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Activate Arabesque.
So he's going to be able to recycle the again,
Bounce the monster.
That's fine.
and then probably put a
Bounces
different
the
level 3 on the
monster.
field.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
And it's true that the Mikankos are level 3s, so that's just a great way to pull out Hare here and have the other one for later.
And then Hare lets you summon one.
No, it's equips well.
Oh, it equips from the deck.
Yeah, so Hare, like we saw Huli adds traps, Hare adds spells. Actually, I don't even know if Huli added a trap yet.
No, I don't believe it has. We haven't seen any of those Mikanko trap cards.
He might already have the Spirit Walk in his hand.
You usually don't run multiple copies, so he probably does.
Oh,
have
I
that.
saw the trap card. Yep, it is
Oh, I
absolutely
see
in
it,
his hand.
yeah.
Activate effect.
Renard's fine.
Now it gets to add equip spell.
Target.
Or a Fire Warrior, I suppose.
A lot of good options.
Target 5 from
Yeah, just getting Fireflint Lady for follow-up here seems strong. Not that I think you really need that much follow-up anymore. Your game plan is pretty much solidified here.
Again, for those not familiar with the Mikanko strategy, you may see so many monsters on the field at one turn, but all of them have 0 attack because that's what this deck is about. Again, it's about putting a monster on the opponent's side of the field and then, well, ramming yourself into it so they take the damage.
It's interesting. So, okay, Geonator has now hit the field.
But we don't have multiple level 3s here.
He opted to link one away, so he still has to find access to another one. Unless he wants to give him something else. Okay, it looks like there's going to be Fire Dance here, which is going to reborn the Hare.
Also could bring it from the hand, technically.
Yeah.
There's the overlay network. So using the effect of Mikanko Fire Dance gave him the extra level 3 he needed, and oh man, here it comes.
Acid Golem in defense.
So it switches control.
Oh,
Activate,
yeah, I know.
Transverser.
Let me read Acid Golem.
The only effect that you really need to be aware of is that you can't special summon.
It's okay?
I don't think Tyler's as excited about everything that's happened so far anymore.
Yeah, he's picking up his cards. I think he realized that he wasn't going to be able to do much if he controlled Acid Golem and the Destruction. So again, he's a fan of 5Ds, maybe not so much of Zexal.
Simon takes the lead here in game 1, really just showing what his deck tries to do. Didn't even get to finish his combo here. I think Acid Golem was really all it took, especially after like perfect knowledge of Tyler's hand here. I don't think there's anything that he thought he could draw to get out of that situation. He probably knew that there was not going to be anything that would remove the Acid Golem from the field, so he would just have to pass back, and Mikanko would just be able to do his thing, swing in a couple times, and the Acid Golem would deal all the damage it needs.
Shows you all the power of Age of Overlord. Gen and Ken allow so many different decks to find the options that they're looking for, but they are in and of themselves warrior monsters that fit in warrior decks. So obviously that's made Mikanko Infernoble work out really well. But I'll be curious to see what other duelists use. I mean, it's a big package, but it's a package that lets you really grab whatever you want as long as you're able to get those tactics and thrusts online.
All right, if you're Tyler, what do you do now? You know you're playing against Mikanko. It seems like he was very unfamiliar up to this point about the strategy. How much do you change? Because I think Tearlament is one of those decks that can be very flexible as to what it does. It doesn't necessarily try to do the same thing every time. It has a usual end board goal, but it can try to navigate itself differently when it knows it has to do something very specific. And I think against Mikanko, you do have to do something very specific.
You do, but also the risk with the TearlamentsTyler side decking, you run the risk that if you're trying to go ahead and send cards from the top of the deck to the graveyard, you lose those cards you brought into the side deck. So I think the obvious answers here, if Tyler wasn't already using Droll and Lockbird, hopefully he has access to that, because Droll and Lockbird would be so huge to stop the Mikanko strategy from, well, doing what we just saw Simon put the masterclass for.
Absolutely, especially, again, we keep saying this, but if you're able to go first, set up your own game plan, and then also have a copy of Droll and Lockbird, that makes everything so much harder, because a lot of decks can play into Droll and Lockbird well. They can just find ways to make do without getting all of their necessary searches. But if you have to try to play with a handicap into a field, it's going to be extra difficult. Usually not something that most decks can overcome.
We'll love to see. I mean, we didn't get to see a lot of Tyler's strategy here, but if he is going first, I mean, Tearlaments has the ability to perhaps, think about it from Simon's side, he's got 52 cards in that deck, so there's the possibility that he only draws things like just Mikanko cards that you can't activate on your opponent's turn. So Tyler will be able to press forward really hard with the Tearlaments and maybe just set up enough stuff to where, well, Simon can't get going.
But the thing about Simon's list is he is playing a lot of cards to effectively go second. He's not really trying to stop his opponents from doing anything. He's trying to deal with it after the fact, because he's already forced to play the thrusts and the talents because he's playing Ken and Gen. He wants to get maximum value from all of those. So to pair with that, he's also playing 3 copies of Lava Golem in the main deck.
Oh, that's crazy. But I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's not an acid golem, but it is a golem nonetheless. So giving your opponent a 3,000 attacker and crashing into it, whichever way that comes, it's good for Mikanko.
4.5 years. Am I still... Sorry, can I still side? I've not handed my deck.
3 minutes to complete siding and present your deck.
Players do have 3 minutes to side deck, but they do have to operate within that.
So you have 5 seconds to do so.
But it looks like he is presented, so he might be locked in there.
I hear conflicting things about the 3 minutes thing. A lot of head judges and stuff say
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a set rule. It's more about, you're not supposed to just sit there and side for 3 minutes just because you can.
Exactly, exactly. Judges discussing that, making sure the players are educated. The idea is, though, you're supposed to keep up the pace of game. You can't just be hanging out for no reason.
And generally, the biggest thing is, if you present your deck, the deck is presented.
That is a presented deck, absolutely. All right, so he's presented it, so whatever's in there, that's what's going to be in there.
So sportsmanship there.
Looks like it's back to the sacred time, the time to duel.
That's awesome. Oh, this event? What about period? Like all time?
Yeah, Tyler's just happy to be there. Looks like the players are getting ready to get started here with game number 2 here. Could be the final game here in the Swiss of YCS Richmond.
Looks like we're good to start. Tyler's a lucky duelist. We'll see if that luck pays off in this Tearlament strategy now. It is nice to occasionally get a couple of names at once on just one sending of the cards to the graveyard.
Activate the field spell, Primeval Planet, Pearl of Rhino.
Pearl of Rhino is like a very strong start, gets you access to everything you need. Normally, you want to add something along the lines of Tearlament Shiren or Tearlament...
Going to add Tearlament Shiren.
Yeah, Shiren, or sometimes Tearlament Kashtira is the best way to go. You just want to start putting those top cards of your deck in the graveyard as soon as you can. You don't really want to start with Rhino Heart when you don't already have setup, because Rhino Heart's not the card it used to be anymore when you don't have Kicklows.
It is not, unfortunately. But that's what's so great about Tearlaments is this deck...
He's discarding Kalbeck.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man. And there it goes.
Oh, wow.
That is going to be 8 cards.
Let's start with a 3, looks like.
Going to go Chainlink 1 Merly, Chainlink 2...
I'd imagine Chainlink 2 Kalbeck, Chainlink 3 Solus.
You're allowed to write down notes on anything required to maintain the correct game state. So like hard once per turns, that counts.
Chainlink 1 Merly.
Chainlink 1 Merly, Chainlink 2 Kalbeck, Chainlink 3 Soliak.
Yep. All right. That makes a lot of sense. I believe Sulik will probably add a copy of Tearlament Kashtira at this point.
Talking about being a lucky duelist, having just multiple cards activate at the same time, and we're about to send 5 more cards, that's insane.
I don't think it's necessarily lucky. That's all the deck does, because you're not playing any other cards that don't do this.
Well, true, but imagine he sent, well, a Droll and Lockbird, one card that would help him against Simon. That wouldn't be good. We got lucky here.
I don't think you choose to get Shiren then. I think you would just do something else.
Well, looks like we are dumping some of the Imsa Tea, and also saw a Danger Nessie in there as well.
And then Merly resolves a fusion
Yep,
summon.
no effects from Simon. Don't think there's any additional effects. There is a Medora, but no additional effects there. But you're going to be able to use the Imsa, which is a dark. So to resolve the effect of Merly, this could easily make a Mud Dragon of the Swamp here.
That's exactly what we've got.
So half of Bahamut Shark already on the field.
So now it's open game state. I'm going to
Activate TearlamentsTyler or just normal summon that Rhino Heart in his hand.
I added TearlamentsTyler.
Oh, it's going to be the Tearlament
No, just confirming that he added that off the Sulik here.
Oh, I see.
I think at this point, maybe you just want to play it safe, normal summon Rhino Heart, send another copy of TearlamentsTyler, just to either send the top 2 cards. Oh, no. Okay, he's going to opt to use Havness here. So that's the second name of the 3 with Sheeran being on the field.
I'm going to use Danger Nessie.
So this is going to make a Garura with the Nessie.
You're going to go back in, right? Because otherwise I need to shuffle.
Sorry, there's the deck.
No,
I'm going to send Rhino Heart.
Making sure not to mess up those bottom fusion materials, so we'll shuffle the rest of the deck.
The Tearlament monsters do have to put those cards on the bottom, so you don't want to shuffle the rest of the deck. Make sure it's properly randomized.
So now Garura's on the field.
So this is going to be summon number 5, is going to be the Bahamut Shark, which will force out Nibiru the Primal Being if Simon has one. Otherwise, we're going to be playing with 1 free interruption after this point.
Lava Golem can fire Flint Lady. Does this do
I think once you see the Lava Golem, you're pretty aware that Nibiru is probably not the card you're dealing with anymore, but now you have to be aware that Lava Golem exists.
Yeah, Lava Golem be able to get rid of that likely totally awesome that we're about to see, and any other powerful cards that Tyler put out.
That's fine.
I think maybe when you see something along the lines of Lava Golem, that means you try to set up Scream Sulik, and you see you have the TearlamentsTyler in your hand, maybe you try to hold it, knowing that any field that you make could easily be put immediately in the graveyard. You want to keep some interruption in your hand so that at least you can trigger the Scream and the Sulik after your opponent starts committing to the field already.
Absolutely. Is that the card destruction that got back to his hand just about? Can't see that spell, but that'd be an interesting way to...
It is card destruction, yeah.
TearlamentsTyler.
All right, he's opting to use the TearlamentsTyler here.
You activate TearlamentsTyler, yes. Because you've already normal summoned.
Yes.
So he's going to banish the Sulik.
Sulik to summon it.
Sure.
I will activate the effect to send 3 cards to the top of my deck.
All right, let's see
I
what
don't
these
think we
next
need
3
to
cards
shuffle
are.
I shuffled
You shuffled
after halfness. Yep, that's fine.
It's going to be Hoppy, Imseti, and another TearlamentsTyler, so that's going to be 2 more. That's going to be Scream and Malicious. Those are powerful too. That's going to be really great with already having the Garura on the field, being easily able to make a rank 6 monster. Grabbing another copy of Sulik here. You're going to want to make some space right now. You probably want to link away maybe the Bahamut Shark and the TearlamentsTyler maybe?
No, it's okay.
It's been nice that he's only hit the 1 Malicious and not 2. Obviously, there's a Destiny Hero Denier that can go ahead and flip the script on that, but things are really working out for Tyler in this duel for all the cards he sent to the graveyard. No waste, all just good stuff.
Now it's all about finding a way to trigger the Sheeran if you really want to, but not necessarily that you even have to, because you do have access to the Sulik, so you're able to use that aggressively to try to trigger the Sheeran if you'd like to. You also have access to the Medora to shuffle back a TearlamentsTyler or like, potentially a Rhino Heart, I guess. You probably don't want to shuffle back that one. But just to do so, in order to trigger the Pearl Rhino, pop on one of your own cards if you'd like to trigger those effects.
Looks like we've got our SP Little Knight out there, so we're just trying to build as much as we can, but we're also using its effect to banish the Ohime from the graveyard.
Yeah, might as well, right? You did, in fact, use an Xyz monster for the summon, and now you're going to be activating that Malicious here, going to be able to summon another copy of Malicious from the deck.
You added Sulik from Scream, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I only know just 1 card.
Yes.
Now here's an interesting question. Is there any merit to just activating the card destruction and hoping that you end up discarding whatever it is that Simon needs? We know that these Infernoble decks, when they're playing against Tearlaments, if those cards go to the graveyard, they have to do extra work to kind of pile things back into their hand to use it.
I think when you look at a card like card destruction, you want to craft your hand first. Make sure it's like, because there's no reason there's almost never a reason to do a desperation card destruction, because it benefits your opponent more because they're getting maximum value because they get every card from their hand. Whereas you're losing that card destruction, right? So it's almost like effectively a card lost. So you want to at least try to add as many cards to your hand. So, but here we're trying to generate as much value as we can. We have a Garura drawing a card, and then Agito is going to send the top 5 cards of both players' decks, get more information here. And honestly, sending the cards from the top of the deck is easier than trying to deal with the cards in the hand.
Well, let's see. We did get that reinforcements of the army. It looks like we also had Jess Synchron, who lead the Mikanko, again the Diamond Tiger, and it looks like a Mikanko Arabesque.
Yeah, unfortunately, had to go into the Little Knight already. It would have been really useful to be able to banish that Jet. We do have access to Denier, though. Potentially an additional copy of Malicious coming out later. But the Malicious is still hanging under the Beatrice for now. we do see, okay, so it's like another TearlamentsTyler, Keldo, Card Destruction, and the Sullik inside Tyler's hand.
I'm going to activate card destruction.
He's doing it, the card destruction. I wonder what cards we're going to see
Why wouldn't you
discarded.
set the Sullik? Like, I feel like...
Oh, but look at Simon. I'm telling you, it's one of these heads-up plays. It's a duel or die moment. You just got to guess, but sometimes you do discard the Lava Golem from the opponent's hand.
Yeah, his hand was very, very strong, but really giving up the Sullik when you've already used it this turn. I mean, you got to scream at Trivia Karma. I mean, I guess you can just get some more if you get the Trivia Karma to the grave.
I think
He forgot that he already used Sullik.
Yes.
That makes more sense. The Trivia Karma and the Terraforming already just being really dead here.
The Terraforming doesn't do much when you've already got that planet, but it did kind of protect him, so it was a more offensive card destruction than something that built up his own strategy.
Huge gamble for sure, but maybe it paid off because we technically don't know if Simon's hand got better or not. Probably didn't get better. His hand looked very strong.
Right now, you've got two.
With plays like this, I wonder if that's an argument for Cup of Ace as the new pot of greed.
I suppose if you make an agreement with every single person in the room to always call heads, or just agree it's always heads, then everyone can just pot agreed.
Well, there's no cheating here. He's been able to really get through his cards. So just neat to see some older cards. I mean, that's a card that has been through this game for years.
I will activate Scream. And,
But a more recent card looks like Tearlament Scream hitting the board.
You can,
After you, it's your move.
Yep, no, he's just going to pass back here.
2 cards in hand.
So he still has both Keldo and Medora if he wants to try to trigger that Sheeran.
I didn't. I have a Terraforming in my hand. I wasn't.
Oh, you didn't? Wait, didn't you activate it?
Yeah, I don't have any more Carolina's in my deck.
So it would be an illegal activation. Does get to keep the Terraforming. Doesn't really do much, but now both players know that it's a dead card in the hand.
So it's my turn.
Yes.
All right, Simon is up.
It looks like there is Mikanko Kagura as well as Ohime in his hand already.
What did I say?
I can't repeat it on stream.
Oh. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
Players are just trying to stay focused here. Judges are making sure that they exhibit good sportsmanship while you're on camera here.
Can I not say anything now anymore then?
Simon a little gun shy here, but he's still going to be able to play his cards.
You are good to go.
Anything in the draw phase?
No. No. You're all good.
Tyler just letting him proceed into main phase.
Simon trying to figure out how he can navigate this field. It's not like there aren't a lot of interruptions here. I mean, you know that if you commit a monster to the field, you're going to be sending the top 3 cards of Tyler's deck to the grave. I don't think the attack loss really matters when all your monsters have 0 attack, but we still have to deal with Totally Awesome as well as the Little Knight. The Beatrice will be able to trigger any effect at any point as well, and you can't forget about both Keldo and Medora in the graveyard with Pearl Rhino still active. There's a lot of different layers here to Tyler's field.
Absolutely, and Simon has to think through his combo and keep in mind that many of those cards from his deck are already in the graveyard. The good news is he's got 52 cards in the deck, so he has some cards he can lose, but he still has to make something, and he's going to start with Lava Golem.
Okay, opting to choose the Totally Awesome and the Beatrice.
I'm gonna activate the
Tyler's saying, I agree, knowing that's the right play to make.
Targets. So
I mean, I think, honestly, any single one of those options would have been solid choices. But, like, yeah, so this is the part where if you're going to deal with Totally Awesome, it's going to be able to add back any aqua from the graveyard, or, sorry, a water, and he's going to be adding the TearlamentsTyler, which is going to be able to trigger at any point. You could use a Scream as well because a monster was summoned while a Tearlament monster is on the field. But maybe you want to wait on that just because you have the TearlamentsTyler, you can be a little bit more aggressive with it when your opponent has cards on the field, which I think is a little bit more ideal.
Target.
I mean, you have to target the Little Knight, right? Or, okay, you're going to go after the Sheeran just to turn the Scream off, which is not actually true. Really, you let this go. Yeah.
It looks like it is going to go ahead and change boards there. It's too bad it's not one of a level 3 monster. Be obviously helpful for the strategy, but it's level 4. We'll see what that does.
It is at least bigger than the Little Knight if he wants to throw away his battle phase, but I think for Simon's strategy, that is not something you ever want to do.
Especially not when you have a Lava Golem on the other side. Lava Golem's purpose is to be that big body that causes damage. So, yeah, you wouldn't want to waste it unless you had a Mikanko on the field. Main event is pausing and freezing play, but we've still got 15.5 minutes left on the clock for our featured match.
When you attempt to exit main phase, I'm going to activate TearlamentsTyler to summon it.
Yep, this makes a lot of sense. You don't want to lose away. I mean, honestly, I think I would be okay with Mikanko losing the Little Knight and just making sure they don't have a battle phase. So this allows Simon to stay in the main phase which I think is ideal for him. But at this point, you are effectively removing the threat of the Sheeran because the Scream will make Sheeran lose 500 attack, which makes it smaller than the Little Knight. And there's a Rhino Heart, a Heartbeat, and a Foolish Burial. Rhino Heart will not be able to activate because we do know the contents of his hand. And then we do get an additional 3 from the Scream, of course, as well as the Tearlaments Kashira. So Merle will be able to activate if he wants to.
I will activate the
and the Heartbeat will be able to add back the Sulik.
Chainlink 1 and Tearlament's Heartbeat Chainlink 2.
So looks like Merle will be Chainlink 1, Heartbeat will Chainlink 2, and Heartbeat's going to grab the Sulliak.
So this is actually really, really interesting here. Another point that might actually be able to force out the battle phase if Tyler has sees it. Oh no, sorry, the Mud Dragon was already in the graveyard. I was about to say, if you make a Mud Dragon here and you call the appropriate type that you care about the most, probably going to be Wind, you can't actually equip the Huli with anything.
That's true. That would be a really interesting heads-up play, but it looks like it's going to be Predaplant Draco Stapelia or Stapelia.
Activate the effect of Perla Rhino.
Okay, he's going to use Perla Rhino to destroy his Sheeran.
That's really interesting that that's how that play ended up. The change of heart didn't work out.
Oh, I assumed that was going to happen immediately as soon as Sheeran changed, because you already had the option to destroy your own Sheeran anyway, and it was likely something that you're going to have to do. This just made it a lot easier. But now, again, you could go for that Mud Dragon line. Oh, no, we're just going to take this opportunity to summon that Rhino Heart, which, I mean, also does make sense. It just doesn't do anything because there's no cards on Simon's field. But it is big.
You're absolutely right there, but it's true that Simon is just struggling to get established, at least in this duel.
I mean, so yeah, Tyler's just playing the default strategy here. I think making the Mud Dragon would do a lot more for him. Yeah, Sheeran and Merle have been activated.
Add a card from grave to hand. Merle to fusion summon.
So I'm still in main phase 1.
Yep, we're still in main phase 1. Finally able to commit a little bit more here. We got Kashtira Fenrir. Yeah, we're going to be just forcing out the Draco Stapelia here.
Okay, so
it's going to be level 1 and cannot use its effect back because its effects are negated as long as it has that Predaplant counter on it.
One of them is Sulliak, one of them is Terraforming.
So really the only thing you have to deal with now is just the Little Knight.
This, tribute this.
Sure.
Oh, we're going to tribute.
So now he gets to summon a level 1 for almost free at this point.
Feels pretty free.
There's going to be Renault, which is able to use that graveyard that was loaded up now.
So to a degree, Simon's still in the game, it seems, based on how he's making his plays. And so he might have been just trying to weed out as many Tearlament effects as he possibly could before getting started. But here's Keldo getting his game on. And let's see what the targets are.
It's going to be that equip spell that was targeted. So yeah, wanted for the free draw here, because now the Sinful Swell is in the grave. He's targeted the Arabesque. You're going to put back the Arabesque, and you're going to put back the Jet, I believe.
I'm going to target Jet Synchron.
And because you still have the Medora in the grave for later, you're still fine here if anything else happens to be activated in the graveyard, but this just at least keeps it in check. And you want to make sure you keep the Medora alive for the green spell. Say it one more time for us.
Hits by Oashidori.
Thank you.
Sorry, 1 moment.
Taking a full look at the graveyard there. Plenty of great cards. Not too much of the central strategy for Simon, so there's still plenty of options left in the deck.
Still has to deal with the Little Knight. That one is the face-up card on the field that hasn't activated yet.
Sorry.
Certainly a rough duel for sure, and we've only got about 11 minutes left on the clock here.
Simon wants to be really mindful at this point.
Activate this to dump.
Going to use Effect of Ceremony to send another Mikanko card from the deck to the grave.
Now he could be setting up the Reborn combo that we've been describing, and that's exactly what seems like it's going to be.
Simon is really looking for Tyler to make a mistake here. Yep, he's using the effect to target the Huli in the grave to reborn both.
But with the Medora there, this may not be that big of a problem on Tyler's side.
I don't think there was a normal summon committed just yet as well, right? To Simon's side of the field. So I'm wondering how long he needs to hold the Little Knight?
Yeah. No, there hasn't been a normal summon. We've only seen, what, Change of Heart, Kashtira Fenrir, and then the Renaud.
Huli effect to add.
So we are going to
we allowed it. That's great. Okay, you know.
That's fine.
I don't know. I just think Tyler is unaware of what happens when you let these monsters hit the field.
Yeah, we are just adding that trap card as well, too. So it'll be the Mikanko Spirit Walk.
So when you're looking at your grave and setting on the play,
there's a lot of options in the graveyard. Like,
Judges just making sure players keep up the pace of play. There are a lot of options here, but again, in a Yu-Gi-Oh competition, it's not just about playing the game, it's about playing the game within the rules of the tournament here.
yeah.
My decision's that I'm shooting warning. Have you received one earlier? No. Okay. You guys are going to get a 3-minute time extension automatically?
So it looks like we'll get a 3-minute time extension. Might impact the game, but it'll give us the opportunity to see this duel to the finish.
Yep, absolutely. Like now we're playing with a little less than 13 minutes on their clock here.
I did that.
But now that Simon has been given this opportunity, he only needs to put up a few more monsters. Or that can, sorry, not even just monsters, just a few more actual Mikankos to be able to swing in on that damage. Because, do you see what I see? That Kaleidoheart's in attack position with a Pro or Rhino. That monster has 3,500 attack, and Lava Golem deals 1,000 during the standby phase. He needs to hit twice.
It is very, very large. It's one of those things where, again, we've been talking about how Mikanko just does these big chunks of damage, and by letting the Huli, the Jeweled Mikanko, appear on the board again, this really might be it.
Yeah, so all he has to do is summon one monster. He doesn't need to activate any monster effects. Just has to swing in twice into the Kaleidoheart. If Tyler sees any answer here, it's going to have to be along the lines of using his own Little Knight to banish his own monster, because he's not going to be able to target any of the Mikankos now.
Activate Arabesque.
Oh, and there's the Arabesque. This might be the turn of the tempo of the duel for sure.
Mikanko, it takes control of the card.
No. Special summons a Mikanko from hand or deck, and then bounces the monster.
And you're targeting Lava Golem.
Yes.
I'm going to SP Little Knight, targeting Lava Golem and targeting Renan.
Oh, no, that's a heads-up play. We're going to put that Lava Golem back into his opponent's hand. However, that does mean the Lava Golem could be summoned again.
I think he was just, yeah, so we're just going to use the Little Knight to banish both. They will both return to the field during the end phase, which is fine for Simon, because the Kaleidoheart is still there. He just needs to summon one more monster here, still.
I'm gonna
SP Little Knight always putting in work in so many different strategies. If you've got 2 monsters, well, you've got SP Little Knight.
Yeah.
I'm going to declare top.
Oh, no, okay, couldn't find another body there.
Yes.
So it's going to be 35 from the Pearl
If
Rhino.
you on
45.
And the Lava Golem is going to return.
Gonna main phase 2.
I mean, if it isn't the full 8,000, I'm not so worried about it. Because as long as you have 1 life point, you have enough to play.
My turn?
Yep.
All right.
So now all he has to find is some non-targeting removal, and could be an easy game to wrap up. So you're looking for something along the lines of Typhon or Access Code.
Main phase 1.
You're going to stand by Lava Golem is mandatory.
A Lava Golem is mandatory, so I'll lose 1,000 life
So
points.
we're going to go ahead and take 1,000 life points off the top there.
Thank you, sir.
Waiting for the life point counter to update, but I believe we should be at 3,500 left, right? The 3,500 from the Tearlaments and then 1,000 from Lava Golem.
Absolutely. So I'm looking here. I don't think Typhon can be active, because did Simon summon from the extra deck at all in the previous turn?
I can't target Mikanko cards.
Don't believe so. There really wasn't a whole lot that happened. We couldn't normal summon, obviously, because of the Lava Golems. That means the only other real summons were Renaud and Huli, the Jeweled Mikanko.
So, you can still destroy the equipped spells, but you just can't target them?
Let's take a look at...
Well, okay, I didn't even see the Shyama hit the graveyard, but that is literally the ideal. That is the perfect answer to the situation. Because again, the destruction effect of Shyama, as far as your opponent's spells and traps, does not target.
Absolutely right, and so it's a great card to include. It's nice to borrow a little bit from the Unchained strategy here in the Tearlaments deck, and so that might be able to clear things out as far as the equip spell is concerned. And then all of a sudden you can target your opponent's monsters. You can just grab what you need to and
Send Renaud back to your
maybe
deck.
end this duel.
Yep, and an Aqua was, actually, an Aqua was not sent to the graveyard. It was a warrior, but I think an Aqua will hit to the graveyard eventually. I don't think it matters too much here.
Okay, sure.
Will the judges catch that really quick?
I'm going to set one.
Yeah, I
card
do
face down.
see that what you mean. It looks like that's Tearlaments Rhino Heart.
Activate Shyama to.
Yeah,
target
Shyama
this
will be
card.
able to destroy a card he controls, and then
That'll destroy the
optionally.
defense.
Oh, I mean, it just, yeah, it can only destroy a spell and trap here, but it will be able to destroy the equip spell in this instance because it does not target, which will unlock all of Huli's effects.
We'll go to game 3.
Yep, and then we'll have to go to game 3 here with just under or just over 8 minutes on the clock.
Have to get that time extension out to the board there. Now, Tyler really got to show off what that deck is about and how he's managed to keep the record that he has. But again, just like we talked about earlier, now we're on game 3, and the winner of this duel is likely to go to the top. But unfortunately, there could be only one winner in this. Or it could draw. We'll have to see what happens.
Well, that would be a disaster for both of them, wouldn't it?
Both the decks are pretty explosive, though. As long as people are keeping up a consistent level of play, I do think that we can finish this duel in just one of those giant boards. I mean, both players have shown how good these decks really are. TearlamentsTyler obviously has been favorite. I mean, people have a certain opinion when they're playing against it, but there is no denying how powerful it continues to be despite its hits on the Forbidden Limited list. And Mikanko is just a really interesting, tricky deck to play against, especially when you're having that Infernoble package in there as well.
Yeah, it's going to be up to Simon to keep the pace of play here. He wants to be able to deal or do as much of his combo as he can reasonably. And Tyler, I mean, he's playing a strategy that typically does not do anything to interrupt the opponent, and this is a strategy that you have to interrupt. It's not something you just let happen unless you happen to be playing copies of Forbidden Droplet. I think that is like the perfect answer to everything that would happen from the Mikanko Infernoble strategy. But I don't think TearlamentsTyler can ever afford to give up those cards for no value, such as the case of Forbidden Droplet, right? Because even though you are sending cards to the graveyard, you're sending them for no actual value because they're not free. Like, sending them from the top of your deck is not expending resources from your hand, right? And so any advantage you get is just additional. But when you have to spend those cards from the cards that you were given in your top 5 or top 6 in this instance, it's not nearly as strong.
But at the same time, we've seen Tyler make some very brave, bold moves, like that card destruction in Game 2. So he might do something that's a little off, you know, the beaten path, but it does work. Let's just see what happens in this duel for sure, because you never really know, right? You make that gamble, you flip that coin, you roll those dice, and you just have to see what happens.
Absolutely.
All right, so players just getting final instructions from the judges there. This is going to be a relatively short Game 3, but that doesn't mean it won't be any less exciting.
So make sure to shuffle as many times as he can. He wants to make sure he doesn't clump up those cards. 52 cards, you know, things can happen, especially when there's so many combo pieces. You want to make sure you shuffle well. Because oftentimes when you do go through a combo at least like once or twice, a lot of the certain pieces end up together.
Absolutely, you really do want to make sure you sufficiently randomize that deck because, well, you need to draw it in a good order for sure, but it does have to be a random one.
I mean, there's multiple combinations of cards that work, but you just want to still try to keep up as much of variance as you can. Here we are. We're going into Game 3 of Round 11 here at YCS Richmond. It's do or die right now. Can Simon get there? What do you think is going to be the most ideal card for Tyler here? I'm thinking of one specific level 1 monster.
Well, I mean, it just depends, though. We got to see what his hand, and we're actually getting to see it now.
I
did see the level 1 monster. There's that Droll and Lockbird. The Droll and Lockbird really could pay dividends here. It could shut the turn down and leave Tyler in a winning position. You're absolutely right. That level 1 spellcaster is pretty important here.
Tyler's hand actually looks fairly strong. He has a copy of Tearlaments's Scream as well as a copy of Tearlaments's Kashira. If he really needs to make a desperation play, he can. Oh, it looks like it's going to be a normal summon Renault. Not ideal here, but maybe a special summon. Oh, you're going to have to use Arabesque directly on the Renault. That's actually not bad.
Not bad. You got a warrior, got your quick spell, so you can go ahead and keep going. But
yeah, and Renault back in the hand means you can special summon it later.
Absolutely, absolutely. But let's take a look at which Mikanko he's going to grab.
Yeah, I'm not really sure which one you want as a starter here. Is it just Huli off the bat?
I guess it depends on what his hand is. If he already has Huli, that might be a little redundant. But looks like we're going to go ahead and get Hade.
This is going to be the one that lets you add another spell here. Which makes a lot of sense. I think spells are a lot more proactive.
So there's the first card added to the hand.
That's going to be Fire Dance, and then there's the Droll and Lockbird. Let's see if Simon has any response. It doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like Revenue called by the grave. Nothing to stop it this time. So that's going to stop the cards from being added from the deck to the hand, but he might have a different way to get there, right? He can still send cards from the deck to the graveyard. He can still access stuff from there, too.
Yeah, and especially because it is a fire warrior, so I believe Hare is the the warrior in the strategy. And there's going to be a triple tactics talent, so look at Tyler's hand here, I imagine, considering all the other options aren't available anymore.
Looks like we got Danger Nessie, Tearlaments's Kashtira, we have Medora, and looks like Tearlaments's Scream on the side.
Sorry, I just think about this for a second.
That is... I mean, I see two options that are, like, really make the cut here. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Like, yeah, the Nessie gives the most randomization. But I think, like, it was between that and the Tearlaments's Kashtira for me. Or even just a Scream. And then I think the Scream at least keeps it as random. But there's so many things that can go wrong with the Danger. It creates this chain. Especially with Nessie specifically, where even if it misses once, it gives you another chance. It lets you get access to Mothman. But Tearlaments's Kashira, if you leave it in the current position, he has to at least give up the Scream in his hand to summon it, and then just the top 3.
Certainly put him in a clinched position. There wasn't any one card he could have taken out that would have stopped any plays, but he's definitely made them less optimal now that the Danger Nessie is gone. Yeah, but something along the lines of Foolish Hill Kids could really open up Tyler's hand here.
Yeah.
Oh, but there is actually a copy of Arclight. Arclight makes this really simple. So Tearlament not going to be doing any kind of work right now. It's pretty easy when all you've got is a Castor, a Rise Heart-like effect of banishing those cards. Now, it's going to be face up, not face down, but that is going to be difficult from Tearlaments. But Tearlaments did decently against Castor when they could, so let's see how we play against this banish-like effect. All right, so we do have Hare on the field equipped with Fire Dance, so Hare can't be destroyed by battle by its own effect, can't be destroyed by card effects by the effect of Fire Dance, and I think that's about it. There's not going to be any targeting protection here. It looks like he redrew the Nessie.
I'm not going to be Danger Nessie.
Got very lucky on that.
I mean, I think there was a lot of better draws, but especially when Herald of Arclight is already on the field, you're really playing at random right now. You're relying on drawing something strong.
Did we shuffle?
Yeah.
Okay, think about this.
I don't even know why Simon would be upset at drawing a Nessie at this point. You have an Arclight on the field. But this, if it is able to summon itself, it's at least going to be able to enter battle phase, clear the Arclight, and then go from there. And the Arclight will get a lot of value, though, because it does happen to just add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand when it leaves the graveyard. Yeah, the card has put in a lot of work across the years, whether it's being used in fairy decks, whether it's being used in ritual decks, sometimes both. I think, yeah, this is interesting. Simon is going to use the Arclight here to destroy the Nessie. Arclight, I mean, he does know the contents of Tyler's hand at this point, but yeah, like this forces out the Tearlamen's Kashira, and potentially a battle phase is all Tyler needs. If he was able to force out the battle phase with Nessie just hitting the field and forcing to attack over the Arclight, things could have been a lot more dire. And look at this. That was perfect. That was perfect. That is incredible. You have access to Shyama, which will be able to destroy the Fire Dance. You get the Heartbeat that gets to add back the Sullic, which you're going to able to set it to summon back the Shyama to put itself on the field. And then you just get to add any card with the Sullic here.
You can read the cards, yeah.
Just absolutely incredible that he was able to find that non-targeting removal exactly at the time he needed. Yeah, I mean, anything can happen from the top of a Tearlament strategy, but that might have been as good. Well, it could have been better, obviously. Agito and Kelbeck were not seen, but this was pretty precise. Well, who needs Agito and Kelbeck when you send the cards directly that you exactly need? But we're going to go ahead and start resolving chain links here.
I'm going to normal summon Rhino Heart and activate its effect.
Yep, so you get to normal summon the Rhino Heart here. Oh, does he have an additional response in hand?
I think this might be the first time we saw Rhino Heart all duel actually using its effect from the field.
Yeah, maybe. So Sheeran is going to be able to use its effect. Looks like he's going straight into Kaleido Heart. That also makes sense. It's really simple to just go ahead and deal with the Fire Dance that way. Or actually, no, you can just target any of it. So you just put back the Hare. Yeah, and then it's really simple to go into battle phase at this point. You can just summon one more monster, yeah. So this is going to be able to summon the Shyama.
Anything else?
Huh?
Anything else?
I'm going to...
Yep, use the Shyama in graveyard to destroy.
Yeah, absolutely. That means he is getting the bodies on board he needs, and he might be clinching out this duel.
Yeah, oh, Kaleido Heart's a fiend. You actually get to destroy the Kaleido Heart itself. Kaleido Heart's going to be able to send another card here. Maybe you want to send 2 more cards to Tearlament Kashtira. Yep, that's going to be the case.
All right, well, we've seen quite a lot from the top of the deck lottery here. Let's see what the next 2 entries are.
Rhino Heart and Scream. That is, you do not, I believe you do not have a Tearlament card in your hand. You have the Medora, which is known for both players here, so you're not going to be able to summon that Rhino Heart for the last bit of damage, but you are able to add another copy of Scream, just because.
There you go.
That's nice to have some backup, just in case this turn is not what clinches it out, except we only have a few seconds left on the clock here.
Yeah, this is a lot of damage. This is 6,300? No, sorry, 7,300, leaving Simon at just 700. And then he's going to be able to at least make a Little Knight here with a copy of... No, are you really going to use the Solid? Are you really using the Kaleido, though, I guess? I mean, I guess that's fine. You do still have... Yeah, just going to get rid of the Renaud. And then that is enough. Simon takes the loss here. Tyler is able to continue with his Tearlament strategy.
We've seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Voice actors win duels before, but never quite like this.
Just looks into the crowd in disbelief, I guess, at how the situation played out. That was the perfect 3 cards from the top of his deck.
Absolutely. Well, our match winner is Tyler again. Very lucky duelist, showed that just he got the cards he needed. Hopefully the heart of the cards continues to help him out in the rest of his future duels and everybody here in the competition, because we still have so much left.
Absolutely. Droll Lockwood really showed, like, again, we talked that those interruptions, those kind of cards, you don't really get to see in the Tearlament strategy. And if you do play any of them, they're going to be those